things that require some really some thinking about what's to come for us and as teachers. And I just I want to share with you a quote that might be from Buddha. It says it's from Buddha, but I'm not quite sure. And it says, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, then you go with a group of people. So that was shared with me one time by our amazing leadership in Georgia, Mr. Patrick Wallace. He shared that quote with me with us, with a group of people at a conference, and that has always just resonated with me, and especially throughout these moments that we have been living through this last 9 weeks together. This has been so meaningful, because had it not been for all the people who offer their wisdom through Facebook Lives, free webinars, and just all kinds of supports and free activities and Google files. I mean, I don't know about you guys, Annabelle, Meredith, and Claudia. I don't know about you guys, but definitely, how many of you did download something that somebody shared somewhere? Because I know I did.
All the time.
All the time, yes.
All the time, every day. And even things that if I'm not using it now, I download it because I know I can use it later.
So I want to start by introducing my friends. I know you might know all of us already, or you may not know all of us already, but I kind of want them to introduce themselves and just kind of let our people know today how much longer you have until you close the year today. So I will start by saying that my name is Bertha Delgadillo, and I teach in South Georgia, in Savannah, Georgia. And this Friday is my last Friday with students, and next Friday it's my last day for this academic year altogether, wrapping things up. So, Claudia, if you want to tell us about you.
Yeah, hi everybody, and thank you, Berta, for inviting me. This is just so fun to be here today, and I know that we all need it. So I am from Colombia. My name is Claudia Elliott, and I teach Spanish in Jacksonville, Florida. And I wish I would be teaching in Savannah, Georgia, but I'm not, because I still have 3 more entire weeks to go. My last day of school is going to be May 29th, and my last day for teachers is going to be like June the 4th. So I still have 3 more weeks to go, but we can make it.
It's a lot of weeks. Hi, my name is Annabelle. I have my last day with kiddos is Friday. And then we have 2 more weeks as just faculty for meetings. That's very typical, even if we were ending on normal time. And then we were all given 2 days, which luckily it's 2 now, but to completely clean out our classroom. And we're supposed to take everything home that is not owned by the school. And I was like, that means all my prop closets have to be emptied, and like, what am I going to tell my husband? So that's going to be fun.
Yeah. I don't know that they realize, like, I feel like administrators aren't walking around when they're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and clean that out, like by like in an hour. And you're like, no, I literally can't. My name is Meredith White, and I teach Spanish 1 and 2 just outside of Atlanta. Kind of like Annabelle said, our schedule has stayed the same, like as it would have been already. So we're done next. I had to remember earlier what day it was today. Next Wednesday is like students' last day, and then the 22nd is like our last day for post-planning. I keep saying pre-planning. Post-planning, so as it would have been. And we were going to have to come in like all of next week. And then they changed their mind, because I think that got like confusing, and I think people were really upset and like worried, understandably. So we keep getting kind of like the mixed messages, but now it's by choice. So I'll go in for a couple days next week, and clean up and do the weird things, but with no people and apparently see no one, and like, don't talk to anybody, don't touch anything. So
don't gather anywhere. Don't talk to each other.
Right, yeah. It was like, only go to the bathroom, but we'll leave the doors open so you don't have to touch the handles. I'm like, okay. Whatever.
I have only one day to clean up, and we have to clean up everything. We have to have one day, and it's going to be next Friday, which I'm supposed to be teaching. So I'm going to be teaching and cleaning.
The same time.
Imagine that.
Multitasking.
Well, at my district, post planning is still a mystery, guys. Like,
mystery.
but we'll know more next week, and we don't know. I mean, we know post planning is happening next week, but we do not know the procedure. I really hope I don't have to go through what Anna was going to have to go through, because if you have seen my classroom, it's also pretty large, and I have a ton of things that I wouldn't be able to pack them. I would need a good week to kind of like wrap this things up. But yes, so again, we are here to discuss a couple of elephants in the room. I know I've noticed through, because I follow, I don't know, I'm a little PD junkie, and I follow a lot of groups on world language teaching, like many of you guys in here do follow them. And what I've seen is something that kind of like struck me, and I've gone through it in small doses, but not really greatly, but I've seen a lot of people were affected by it. And that is the fact that I saw many people say, I'm feeling down because maybe the participation in your Zoom or Teams or whatever platform you're using with your students wasn't high. And maybe you saw on Instagram or on Facebook how other teachers are doing all these wonderful things with their students, and you maybe felt bad. And I read some posts where the teachers were just, feeling terrible about it. And I think we are all doing the best that we can. And I've heard Meredith say many times, and Anna will say many times, and Claudia said many times, we have to remember that at the end of the day, we are enough. And we truly are, because we're all trying to reach our students and to maintain their normalcy, even though we know, that's not really, there's nothing normal about the situation. And so what do we have to say to those teachers who maybe haven't had, I don't want to say as much success, but maybe you are at a school that your students can log in and meet you, or maybe you were expecting more of your students to show up, but they didn't. How has your situation been for you ladies independently? And what do we have to these teachers who might be thinking right now, this feeling kind of bad because the year didn't go as expected, and thinking that maybe if we go into this next year, oh my God, how are we going to handle that? So
I'll say, go ahead, Claudia. You were going to say something.
I was going to say that I think we need to be a little bit, fair with us. I think we need to be nice and kind to us. I don't think we can measure our success for this quarter has been such a tremendous, horrible situation and crisis. We cannot, that's just not like, we cannot assess our students. We cannot say, oh, my students were a failure or I was a failure for a crisis. It's just not fair. I don't think it's kind. I don't think it's fair. And I also think that when we assess or reflect on our success or the kids' success or our relationship, I think we need to be specific, because we tend to say, oh, it is a disaster. We don't have any kids. No, that's not true. We do have kids. So I think we need to be specific. I think it is going to be so much better if we say, oh, move it. We need to be specific. I think we need to be, let me see who I was able to reach. I was able to reach Mary. And when I was able to reach Mary, I didn't had a positive impact on Mary's life, but on Mary's mom's and Mary's sister, because I'm telling you, I have 2 kids, 12 and 13. And every time that a teacher says something positive or they have a relationship, a good moment with that teacher, my life changes. So I feel we have to first be kind and not put our entire success as a teacher in this period of time, but also we need to be specific. I think we need to really find the greatest that we have done, because we all have done amazing. Like, I am so impressed every day, and our realities are different. So For me, is to be specific. I want to mention every day, I think about students, say, I'm so glad that I was able to talk to Johnny. I am so happy that Mary was able to come. I am so thankful that Marian came here and completed that assignment. And when I completed with Marian, Joseph, and Johnny, I affected 3 students and their surroundings. So for me, it's being specific instead of making all these general comments that can be hurtful for us.
I agree. And I think not just telling ourselves that, but my thing is always like believing it because I'm like, I am enough, you are enough, you're doing enough, and then I'm like, there's still that little like, but are you sure? And I have to keep, and like, no, I'm not sure. And I have to keep reminding myself that I don't know that we can be sure even under normal circumstances, like whether or not students are learning what we think, having the experience. Like how many times have you just like had the best semester or week or day or hour, whatever of your like career. And then you overhear a student say like, oh yeah, this class is so easy. Like all we do is whatever. And you're like, oh, or they say something really hurtful or you overhear it or they say it to your face. And so I don't know that we can ever be super duper sure. And I mean that in a good way, like of the impact we're having for better or for worse. And I can't help but wonder if part of the vulnerability with this whole experience is, this is going to sound terrible, but you said it could be real, is I think as humans, we're like naturally comparative and there's nobody around you to compare with. So now you're creating things to compare with. Like there's nobody down the hall who's leaving right after the bell who you can go, there goes the Annabelle. At least I don't leave then. And there's no one leaving at 6 and you're like, oh God, I wish I could be that dedicated. Like you don't have anybody to gauge yourself off. So you're like, my brain, I just assume everyone's crushing it and I'm awful. Or the opposite where you're like, hey, that was pretty good. I made like a little video and they're going to love that. And then you have 2 kids show up and you're like, okay, never mind. Like because there's no one to compare ourselves to directly. And because so many people are so amazing in all of their sharing, I just assume if people are sharing, they feel really good about it. And so I'm naturally compare myself to that. And it's not like, oh, that's neat. It's like, oh, I'm not doing that or that or that or that. And that can be exhausting.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's like, they both said everything already, but I will add little spins, like twists to what they said because they said it so eloquently and so well. One, authentic communication feels hard right now because it is hard. Yeah. Period. It feels hard because it is hard. Period. End of story. 2, Meredith said you can't there's nobody to compare yourself to. The problem is there's nobody to compare yourself to, and therefore you're choosing to compare yourself to the people on the internet sharing. And here's the thing is the people on the internet sharing, like if I share something cool here or Meredith shows something cool here or Bertha or Claudia, those are highlights. We are sharing the highlights. I'm not, I bawl my eyes out in my one group, but the rest of the time I am sharing the positives because if I share all the negatives all the time, I'm digging a deep, deep hole. And Teddy Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy for a reason. Because if we are constantly comparing, then of course all we are doing is feeling like, oh my God, I'm not making those cutesy Bitmoji classroom things. I don't even know where to start with that, and I don't have the time to watch the YouTube video, but I want to. And is it bad if I don't? And da da da. Like comparison is a thief of joy. So stop. Stop.
Or is it bad if I don't want to?
Or is it bad if I don't want to?
Yeah. If you're like, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's stupid.
Like it. Why waste my time?
Like it. Next. Right.
Yeah. And then remembering that realities are all different. We're all in different boats. Like that beautiful Spanish quote that's Educando Entre Mundos shared. That was like, no, it's not. We're not in the same. It was in Spanish, but it's like we're not in the same boat. We're in the same ocean. Some in yachts, some in boats, some in life vest, and others swimming with all their might. That's referring to the pandemic situation. But we as teachers are all in very different boats. And what we're required to do looks very different. And how many of our students participate looks very different. And that relates to the students all being in different boats. Yep. I know that I get like 6 to 7% participation. I'd see 188 or 193 students a day at school. And I am like, 14 kids on a call. Cool, that's awesome. 7 kids on a call. Whoa, hard day. That's where I'm at. But I also know their reality is they don't have access.
Yeah.
And if they do have access, maybe they're sharing one device amongst 3 other children in their family. And so it's really important to remember we're all in different boats. Our students are all in different boats. We can't compare, and authentic communication feels hard because it is hard.
And I think when you said that, Annabelle, you hit a great point. And then Meredith was saying that too. Like, we need to truly make the choice to believe that, because when we don't, then we kind of betray ourselves, and then it comes out really easy. But one thing that I've noticed, and that happened to me, like I think 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, when I had like a really bad week, is that I realized that this is our best. And I just, for a couple of days, I felt disappointed of my students, right? Because I felt you were with me for almost a year and you gave me all that. And now here I am trying to do this and you're not showing up for me. And I felt disappointed. And I think I transmitted that in my body language, in my, like in the middle, like I didn't say it, but it was, they felt it. And the day that I chose to say, I'm choosing to believe my students. I'm not going to hear them as excuses, but as realities. And this is our reality, and the realities are there. And the day that I chose to believe that and to be okay with that, and be okay that I wasn't going to get that. I wasn't going to get that interaction. I wasn't going to get that 100% that some of the students gave me. That day, everything changed. Like, I felt relief. I felt okay to meet with them for 25 minutes in a live, even though my school wanted me to meet with them every day, and I knew that it was impossible, and I felt okay to give them the word that I was giving them, and it wasn't like pretty and crazy and super fun, but I felt okay. And when they were for me, I appreciated, I was thankful, I was excited, and it was real because I chose to believe. So I think that is so important that we are aware not only that we have different realities, but they have different realities.
I absolutely agree. I was actually inside a Zoom meeting of a wonderful, amazing educators community, and I had a moment last week where a young teacher was just talking about this amazing lesson and assignment she had given her students, and that that her students went and spoke with their parents, and she was just reporting with so much enthusiasm and everything, and I was like, oh, I did not experience that at all this semester. But so that was like part of the Zoom meeting where she was sharing about that. I was happy for her. I mean, I was super happy for her that she was having successes, but I felt like, I mean, how can I achieve that? So fast forward in that same Zoom meeting, later on, somebody else asked, well, how are you guys handling having your students show their faces on Zoom or on Teams or whatever? And she, same girl, she comes back up and she says, well, I teach at a private school and I have 15 students and we are required to give them a grade. So they have to show up and they have to show their faces. And I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, should not have compared myself, because I mean, and kudos to that reality. That's wonderful. Not putting down private schools by any means whatsoever. But we do realize that, different stories, different realities, like all of you have said, and we do not know when people are posting what is their reality. I kind of want to share with you guys some of the comments that we have from people. So we have Samantha who said, it's hard for me when teachers share that they're having 95% participation in Zoom through playing games and focusing on relationships when I am doing the same, but only have 50 to 66% participation, which is better than what I thought I would have. I would say to you, Samantha, celebrate what you do have, because in this reality,
it's better than you thought you would have. Focus on that. And the fact that I pride myself on relationships. I am I know I have phenomenal relationships with my kids. I know it. And the world does. Like, they're like, oh, it's so cute watching your videos. It's so great seeing your It's not about that. I'm like, oh my God, there's 7 kids in this call that is open to 193 children. It's not about that. It's like, we can't, it goes back to also that the kids are in wildly different boats, and a lot of them are not sharing, and we don't know that they have family members who are dying with COVID, who are like the emotional, the undue stress that they're dealing with, a lot of our public school kids and private school kids. Like, everybody's in wildly different situations. Some teachers aren't even allowed to do Zoom calls or Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's so important what you just said, like this, your 7 kids. I remember years ago, I was like a year ago, I'm a control freak, you know, like I want to have all control in my life, which I came to realization that I cannot control anything. Like, I just get up and I just do my best, and then I go to sleep and I'm okay. But one time I had a big party in my house, and I invited my husband's family. You know, I'm from Colombia. My husband is from the United States. Our cultures are totally different, and it stresses me out. Like, it really, really stresses me out. And I was going to do it outside, because outside is great, right? I don't have to talk to them, because when I talk to them in English a lot, I just kind of like get sweaty and I get really, really anxious. So like, okay, it's outside. You can go on there. And then I woke up that morning and I look at my phone and say, oh my gosh, 65% chances of rain. And my husband trying to say, good, that means that it's 45% chances that are not going to rain. Aww. So again, it's like, show up 7, but yeah, I have 7. So I think we have this human, you know, I don't know, tendency to always focus on what I don't have, but we don't treasure what we have. And I think, Samantha, you have 50%. That's incredible.
And we have another user who says, I felt like this when teachers are talking about having great breakout rooms, but my kids on Zoom, on the Converse, I have all but 3 kids actively completing all of their work, engaging in tasks. And that might be, you know, kind of rough to look at the positive, but look at it this way, because I also had some classes, my AP class, the one class that should be in all the way. Oh my God, let me not even start with that. But I have to be grateful that my 4 kids that are still on the game, that I'm developing wonderful relationships with them, that I already have good relationships with them, but that I'm able to give them more personalized feedback. So while I can focus on the fact that, why are you guys not staying with me when we have this test on the 22nd? It is what it is. I'm just going to celebrate the fact that my 4 kids want super independent feedback, and I'm going to focus on that. Continue to provide the links for everybody, but focus on the ones that really want to be there, because that is not, like Claudia said, that is not on my control. We have another comment. I can relate to working so hard and wondering why am I the only one who's stressing out. Then I hear other teachers' assignments are run a lap around the house or name my new dog. That's it for the week.
Yeah, because again, what are they allowed to do? Like, my extracurricular teachers at my school have been told you're literally not allowed to do anything. Like, so, or you're only allowed to put out 1 video a week. That's it. So again, it's like a boat thing that we don't know other people's situations. Put up Stephanie's comment, Bertha.
I'm sorry?
Put up Stephanie's comment.
Stephanie Page comments?
No, Stephanie Panico. She said, a lot of my top students have been experiencing anxiety over this pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Everyone is doing the best they can. And that's a reality too. My top students who I'm like, they love my class and they love me, and I know they have internet and I know they have devices. They're not doing anything because they, like, I've called and they won't even talk on the phone to any teacher. And parents are like, they've shut down.
What are you going to do about that, Annabelle? I had 2 students like that, and it's breaking my heart because in my county, I'm supposed to be grading. And I know, but for a fact that their proficiency in Spanish is amazing. They had A's in my class. They were participating. They were doing everything. Like, they were talking to me in Spanish. They were doing the password. They were amazing. And they are gone. I talked to the mom. I talked to the daughter. And she told me, this is the most embarrassing phone call that I'm doing. I just need to tell you because I want to be honest, I'm not going to do anything. I just cannot deal with this. And I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, I'm going to just excuse her from, I mean, what should I do? Like, I don't know. I'm like, please give me something so I can give you something. And she's like, I don't think so.
I want to put another comment up here that's kind of related to what Claudia just said. Have you been chasing kids and parents to complete their work? I've been spending hours and hours almost begging them to do their work. I'm so frustrated. Then I heard that many kids will not go back to school and they will be homeschool students until they find a vaccine. I know we should worry about now, but I cannot stop thinking about the future. We are going to be talking about the future later on. That's one of our points, but that's a great point. And Samantha again says she's at a private school where everything's graded and still about 25% are failing due to missing work. And again, she said 50 to 60% attendance. So private schools aren't necessarily rocking this distance learning. Absolutely agree. Not every private school
about this. That's what it is. It's a money thing. And that's Claudia. It looked like Meredith was nodding, like she was thinking about how to answer your question too. But like, I feel frustrated because if we are doing our jobs, the number one focus should be on the students' emotional well-being, which is for a lot of them who are not completing work, very clearly not in a good place right now. And so I think it starts with a very concerned, heartfelt email to administration saying, and that's the thing, is it's a system thing. Like, you're required to do grades. There's nothing, it's not on you, but you need to let the parent knows that hopefully already. The child knows that hopefully already, but then you need to do your due diligence in emailing, because then you can take that weight, as much of that weight off as you can, in an email to the administrator saying, I feel that I know this child, I know their proficiency, I know this would not be the case. And I know that these are insane times and crazy circumstances. It's not fair that this child be penalized when their emotional well-being is where it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have another Facebook user. I don't have their name because of StreamYard, but it says, my students are completing tasks, but are they learning anything? Here's what I have to say about it. Every year, I don't know about you ladies, but I'm sure that's your reality too, but I don't like to assume, but every year you will have students in your class that are at different proficiency ranges. So next year, if we're back in the classroom or if not, we're going to have students who are going to be at different proficiency ranges. So I would advise, even though a lot of teachers are worrying about that, and that's a very valid worry, but it honestly it just stresses you out. And we don't need to be carrying that anxiety and that stress. So we can only do the best that we can. And then we know that next year we are going to have maybe even bigger gap as far as like where our students are located in the proficiency scale. And just kind of like looking towards that, plan our activities accordingly. What else do you guys have to say about your students are completing tasks, but are they learning anything?
I was going to say, I think it's so funny. I love getting like teachers I think of this like as a room. I feel like we're all in the same room. And I love getting teachers together in the same room because I feel like the questions are answering each other's questions. You know what I mean? Like the things that we're asking, because, if it's like, if Samantha says, okay, cool, like I've got 50 to 60% engagement, or like all the different scenarios, and maybe I'm doing X, and then somebody else is like, oh, all these teachers are doing X, but I'm doing Y and I'm not seeing results. It's like, that's okay. Neither are the people who are doing the other thing, or they are. But again, that's like their individual situation. Like there is no silver bullet, magic formula, whatever. And we know that, but I can't help but see, like, if you screenshotted, is that the participle? Screenshotted, took a screenshot of this. I feel like I was going to say something inappropriate, but I won't, Bertha.
We're keeping it real, Meredith. We're keeping it
real. I'll save that one. I'll text you. I feel like if you took a screenshot of this, you could show this to me at any point in the school year of any school year, and I would be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that they're ever learning anything, because I feel like and I don't like, I mean that, but like, I don't mean that. I mostly don't. But I mean, even the student, it's like performance versus proficiency. Kids rock some kind of like speaking thing. And then the next day you're like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And they're like, C, and they keep going through the door, and you're like, no, like, but yesterday you literally used the preterite and told me like 6 things that you did, like, and like Issei was one, like an irregular was one of them, and then you're saying me llamo S, you know, like, why is that a thing? I don't know that we can ever be sure that our students are like learning anything, and I know that sounds terrible, but I think like the system of school and all the equity issues that are now glaringly obvious, but for those of us in the classroom, they have been obvious to different, like to varying degrees. There's school and there's learning, and sometimes those are different, and like that's really unfortunate, but I don't know that we can be sure right now that our students are learning. And to me, that positive, like Claudia was saying, like that positive thing is, but at least they're doing some things. Like, and I say that because as people, like, I have to give grades, their grades have to count. So to me right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, please just do the tasks, because I can justify teacher magic. Like, as long as you do the things, you're not going to get lower than you got in quarter 3. That's been basically our blanket policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can justify that if it's like, well, she got an 83 and like got an 81. Like, let's pull her back up to an 83. So it's 83, 83, no harm, no foul. But I can't pull a 6. Okay. Back up to like, I can't, like, where is, you know, Newton to invent some more calculus? Because
right.
I'm like, I know I can't. This is going to be harder to work with. So at the very least, are the tasks easy enough that when they look at them, they don't go, hold on, let me get Snapchat, let me get 6 friends, who else has White, let me open up Google Translate. Like, if the tasks are so complicated and convoluted that they need to like open up 7 more tabs, I need to make it easier, because I don't know that I can guarantee that they're learning, but at the very least, they're seeing some things, they're seeing some Spanish. And I feel like we're tired.
And absolutely. And make it enjoyable. And I totally echo what Meredith said, because I have a son and I know I have to help him with his assignments. And sometimes I'm just like, dear Lord, what was this teacher thinking? Like, so, you know, it kind of helps me stay in check myself with what I assign to my students. So, yes. All right. So, ladies.
Last thing. This will always be the year that people will say, what grade were you in? Yeah. Because my child, my Isla, does not have her kindergarten graduation. So for her, when people say, what grade were you in? She will say, I never finished kindergarten. Because the reality is they're not finishing. Because even though we know, like, at any point, we don't know what they've learned. The reality is, for a lot of them, I have one student who has been in touch with me on Instagram almost daily since leaving school, but has not done a thing for any of his subjects. Yeah. And that's a reality. And so for him, 5th grade, it was the year I never finished. So every class will be starting a big step backwards. And that's okay.
So we have another comment, and then we'll move on to the next topic, because we are discussing 4 and we're only on topic 1.
They're all the same.
Okay. So my students will not have their grades lower because of the grade they received during this quarter during the pandemic. All students will receive an A or B or incomplete if we had no contact with student. Many of our students are not showing up because there is no grade incentive. They would rather just take a B and not have to do all the assignments. And you know what? I mean, who can blame the student?
They offered a paycheck, like, don't worry, Meredith, don't log on. And this paycheck's going to be, you know, $2,000 less. I'd be like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean that in a nice way, but like, who of us in their position would do anything? I think we've got to look at how exhausting all of this is. And just even as adults, we've been like, oh my God, I cannot answer one more email. Like, this is a lot. And so if there were secondary,
and this is a lot for the kids. I mean, I have 2 boys and is blood. Like here in my house they are straight A students. And since we started this is crazy. And I had to help one of my kids. And I say, what is this? Because I think we're trying to duplicate what we're doing in the classroom. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I think access and equity have been like really hit bad, because I'm with my boy, helping him. I mean, he's working next to me every day. Imagine those parents that cannot be there. I mean, if the kid is showing up, the kid should receive a medal. Like, I mean, a medal, big prize, because in a normal case, if I would let my boys do what they want to do, they wouldn't be showing up to one class. So I think it is
student kids.
Yeah.
Right.
It is really tough.
Alrighty. Well, those are some great thoughts, and I think we are resonating with a lot of our viewers right now, because we're getting all the messages, and I just I just want to tell everybody it's very simple. You're not alone. We're just like Annabelle said, when we're posting highlights and things that maybe can help others, but doesn't mean that we have it all perfect in our own little realities, because that's not the case.
At all.
The next topic we're going to be addressing today is ideas and activities to close the year strong and connected. So what are you ladies planning to do, or what is your focus? If it's just one word, or you want to talk about the activity, what you're going to do with your students to close the year that might help other people.
I know for me, I'll say mine's not, well, it is like an actual task, but I know for me, like Claudia was saying earlier, like, I think as teachers, we naturally like control, because that's our job, is like, we plan the things and then children enjoy the things. Like that's what we do. And we get excited about that. And when they don't, it's like, because our work is so personal, it's coming over for Claudia's dinner party and then like hating the food and saying out loud, like, oh, this food isn't very good. And she's made her favorite dish. And it's like, this is my favorite. This is what I'm known for. And I feel like teaching's that way. This can feel so personal, but I've had to really not like set ego aside, but I've really had to like reflect within myself. And I've been sending like student appreciation emails, just like sort of like flipping the script on teacher appreciation. And so just emailing students and being like, I really appreciate you. Like, hope you're doing okay. Not that I don't provide that disclaimer because I wouldn't have normally felt that way. But because there is no one like face-to-face contact, and normally Annabelle's like, hi, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. And then I get an email from like little Annabelle that says, it's just like a one-line email, all lowercase. These kids and their emails. And it's just like, have you taken my quiz? I'm like, can you find the question mark button? Like, that's what I want to say back. Because there's like no punctuation. And I have to like, be like, chill out. They're like, they are frustrated. This is the first time they're doing a lot of like all of this. But I mean, this is the first time like we've had students have to seek out district given email addresses. Like we give them an email and so many of them have never used it until now. And so that's a problem. Like we need to talk about that as a school, because in my mind, it's a given. I always just say, check your email. And they're like, okay. And they never really needed to until now. And they're all like, what is email? And that's why all of their emails look like E.E. Cummings poems, just like all one line, lowercase. But I think I for me, it's been really helpful to go archive, like all of that past behavior or whatever it is I'm taking personally these last 8 weeks. And I've just been like, thank you, hope you're okay. Thank you, hope you're okay. Thank you, hope you're okay. And it's not even about the replies. It's not even about whatever. It's just like, why are we teachers? Because we care about kids. We care about content, obviously, but like, I have to like let it go, or else I'm going to be like annoyed and feel like I still wasn't enough. Like the school year will end and I'll be like, well, there, you got your little grades and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, that's not fair. Stop. Like, it's not about us as teachers. It's about kids. And I don't think we're reminded of that all the time, but this really is like, okay, that kid's got a 6%. What are we going to do about that? We can't necessarily do anything about it, but we can try. And so I think there's the effort. I think it's knowing that our heart's in the right place and that our work matters is what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if zero respond or they respond, I hate you. It's like, well, I tried.
So Sarah Ann is saying, students not showing up makes me wonder if it's more important to make school enjoyable as opposed to strictly high achieving and rigorously academic.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big discussion when we reconvene. And what's going to be interesting is to see like admin and school boards everywhere is saying this now, but when we really can reconvene, will they continue that discussion, or is it going to go straight back to, well, now funding is back to tests, so like that's out of question, and it's just, that's going to be a huge conversation. As far as my last little bit, I know one thing that I always do at the end of the year, and I'm going to continue to do this year, is share a video. I'm just going to make a video with some music of my favorite pictures throughout the year.
Yes.
To close out. I love doing that, and the kids love it. They look forward to it. They already know. I told them, I have a little surprise for the end of class. But I know that they know what that is because they've had it forever. But I'm going to share my screen real quick because I also sent out this survey. So Bertha, if you want to put it up and then tell me when it's up. I sent out this survey. Okay. And I said, what should we do? So see 9 responses out of 193 kids. What should we do in our last class together until the fall? A big gim kit about evens we had or a slideshow. We should have lots of brain breaks. I think we should do a new Send Your Woolly video. Have fun. Gim kit, gim kit, gim kit, gim kit. Maybe another Send Your Woolly song is unlocked karaoke. All share our favorite memory of school this year. Melt. Get in a Zoom meeting, but then scream for no apparent reason for 10 minutes, like these children.
A long time. Good.
And I teach middle school. I know y'all are high school teachers, but this question is something I've asked every form that I've done at the very end. And they become more and more authentic and real, which I love. And so I said, I miss you. I miss school. How are you feeling? And just like really like this, I feel sad because at first it was supposed to be only 2 weeks, but now it's a whole semester and I didn't get to sit down. Like they're becoming more real. You can stop sharing now. Thank you, Bertha. They're becoming more real and authentic in their answers. And one thing that I do to make it safe is I make it anonymous so they don't feel like, I know who's saying what. But again, that's my boat. I don't have to know who it is. I don't need to see who's participating. But it also allows me to openly say, when y'all were filling out the forms, one person said, I'm feeling sad. Another said, I'm feeling really sad. And I said, I know that's how we're all feeling. So I can start out saying that. And then I could say, I made this video of our time together this year. And then I'm going to do a gim kit and Kahoot based off of information of our school, like but all about our school and memories and those sorts of things, just to try and like end it positively, because again, that's why I'm doing weird filters and trying to find ways to make them smile, because even this, I'm like, y'all, I'm a freaking unicorn and nobody's smiling. You're not even
hello.
I tried really hard, and at one time I showed up with this one, which is my favorite, and I was like, "There's only 2 of you, like a smirk right now." And then I'm like, "But look what the flower can do," and but there's only so much we can do. But I think that I just want to try and end it in a similar way to what I would. And then as positive, as uplifting as possible. And then let them know that, I hope that they have as good a summer as possible. And I look forward to when we can see each other. And being very careful to not say, I look forward to seeing you in August, to be together in August, because we don't know yet. Yeah. And I don't want to fill them with a false hope. I'm just going to say, I look forward to when we can be together again.
Yeah, it's so funny because I did. Go ahead, Bertha.
No, I was gonna say that I'm also doing a video with pictures from this last semester, and I'm gonna do something like put together just a video with our favorite song, which this year our favorite song was "Tutu" by Camilo. That was like the hit song for like every class this year, but especially this last semester. And I'm probably gonna play it in the background and just have a ton of of the pictures in there. I'm also going to be doing an activity that I normally do with them, which is kind of like an end of the year, not so much like an academic reflection, although it has a component like that. But, they tell me like 10 things about them, friends they made in class, and things of that, like their favorite class song, their favorite activity, their favorite brain break. And then, they can type up what, if I want them to, they can type a little paragraph about it, or they can create a video in Spanish about it. I'm also going, so that's going to be done through Google, but it's very like low key activity. It's not very time consuming. And usually we do this on paper and we just kind of like talk about it amongst the class to reflect on the community we have built and how far we have, come in the year. So I'm going to be sharing this activity with you guys here. I can't share it right at this moment because if I open the window with the Facebook Live, it's going to create a lot of noise. So I'm not going to do that. But I'll share it after the Facebook Live is over. I'll let you make a copy of it. And that's what I will be doing. Again, keeping it short, brief, and like I said, reflect on the community and how of the good times we had in class. But I'm also going to be very careful. Normally, in that same activity on any regular year, I would say, tell me what you're doing in the summer. I'm not going to do that this year because even for me, normally my summer plans involve traveling. Well, that's not going to be the case. And that doesn't make me feel very great right now. So I'm not going to solicit that information. Go ahead, Claudia. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I was going to do something very similar to what I already did. I have my seniors, like they're not even my students, but I asked the teacher if I could be there because I love them. I had them 2 years. So what I did is I created a video and there was a surprise and we meet all and we share the videos and everybody shared their best experience and the best moment. And you know what? At the end, it's something that Meredith said, like we cannot really be 100% sure of what they learn, but we really can be sure of the impact that we made on them. And I think I see my students more like, I don't see them as a student in my class, I see them as a whole, and I want to make an impact on them. So for me, it is really important that they see that and they feel that. So connection has been one of my core areas in my class since day one, and it is my one at the end. So letting them know, like, what you were saying, Meredith, sending those emails, and I appreciate you. I really feel that you were a big part of this year and you had a great impact on me as a teacher. That is important for me. So I created a video and then I'm going to create some Quizlet sets to do like guess who, but we're going to play in teams. So it's going to the name of the student. So it's who is always going to the bathroom 5 times. It's going to be Johnny, Adrian, or Mary. Who is the one who has, I have some kids that always wear the red hat. So he wears the red hat. Who is that person? So we're going to play who is the student, but it's going to be created based on what they do in class and who they are in class. So we're going to do that. And also, my level one curriculum is based on stories that we create in class and songs that we listen in class. So I have a list of songs and stories, and I'm going to give them to them, and they're going to recreate and do like their own version to do like a library for us. So those are going to be the things. And again, I still have 3 weeks, so I still have many days with them, many days with them. So I think I'm going to just focus on making sure that they know how proud I am of everything that they have accomplished. I'm going to make sure that they know that I'm here, that I will be here, and that regardless of how we ended the year, it was an important year for all of us. So that's kind of like the message that I want to make sure that they have at the end. So that's going to be for me.
Absolutely. So I think we can wrap it up. I mean, not our Facebook Live, not yet, but I'm talking about the ideas and activities for the end of the school year, just to reminisce on the good times we had as a class and celebrate the relationships we built this year. I have a student she was tough my first 2 weeks of school, and I was able to reach her, thankfully, after several strategies I've used that I've learned from amazing people. And she did most of my work at the beginning of this last quarter. And up to this date, she still messages me on my my teacher Instagram. And she sends me messages, and, she retweeted my Mother's Day picture. I mean, so sweet. And, just celebrating those relationships is key as we close the school year.
I'm going to say, too, just one thing, and this is just because I always have this in the back of my mind. These are like incredibly, obviously, like uplifting and heartwarming things. And I would say to the teachers, too, who are maybe feeling more defeated now because they're like, this was the worst year of my career. My colleagues are horrible. I'm not connecting with students. Like, it's beautiful. And I mean that truly. Like, And you know what? There are teachers, a lot of teachers who are not sad that this happened. And I say that because I think that, again, that being real part is important. There are teachers with students who every day made, or colleagues or administrators who every day their life was miserable and they hated going. And so when all this happened, that there was a collective sigh of relief among some people that just went, oh, thank God. Like, fifth period is awful. And I don't forge connections with them. And I don't want to keep up with them. And I don't want to grade their work. And I'm not saying that's my personal situation right now. I don't even have a fifth period. But it's like, we've all had that like hard class, hard year, hard semester. But for some people, that's been the whole thing. Like, and they might be contemplating leaving teaching, or like Maribel, I think, said in the chat, like, I'm moving and she's leaving me. She's kicked out because we are mad that she's leaving us. I made it us. I know she's leaving you, but in my mind, Georgia, we're all together. She's leaving us, Meredith. I feel left. But I mean that to say, like, if you're listening and you're like, oh, wow, like, and again, those feelings of inadequacy are creeping in because you're like, those sound amazing activities. And I want students like that, but I don't have that. I think that's okay. And I think whatever we look forward to, like next year or whatever it is, we do what we do again. I think that's okay. And I think it's also okay to find all of this exhausting and not feel like you're doing much at all. Because I know that's the other thing is some people are going, oh my God, I'm still teaching like Claudia said, teaching like we normally would have. I'm posting this and I'm working my butt off and kids aren't doing this, or I'm exhausted and they are completing the things and yay, this is worth it. But some people are just, all they can do is mail it in and just like put up a couple of whatever. And then they feel really badly about that. And then that's also exhausting. And I think just this whole experience, like wherever you are, if you're not feeling particularly innovative or creative or sad, I think that's okay too. I think that's like a reflection point. It's obviously not ideal and like where you'd want to be as a teacher, but I think being honest about why you feel that way. I know for me, when I felt that way in the past, I needed a change of scenery.
Absolutely.
And even just recently, like, because we're not meeting as course teams and we're not meeting in person, all of a sudden this thing is like blowing up with every group chat that has ever existed in the history of group texts, like in our department, which is already large. And so it's like, bring, 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 bring. And I have an amazing department, great students, awesome colleagues. Everything is great, like really super lucky. And even that's irritating. So I think being like, why do I feel impatient? Why do I feel exhausted? Why do I feel like later kids, adios? Like, I think just being honest is key and realizing you're not alone in the happy feelings and in like the yay stuff that's easy to talk about, but also like the kind of crappy stuff that nobody talks about that says, oh, I really needed a break.
I'm so glad that you said that, Meredith. I have a great friend and she's going through so much, so much. And she, in her personal life with her kids, is so much. And she's been talking to me and she's like, I just don't find it in me to do live sessions. Right. And I say, don't do it. And I'm like, but I feel terrible. I say, you can't. I mean, you are giving your best. Yep. I mean, you are more than enough. I mean, you are showing up. You're doing something for them. You are you're answering the email of the kid, of Johnny, that needed your help. You're answering to Johnny. You don't need to show up in live sessions. You don't need to create this crazy, amazing activity. You don't need to do a virtual tour of Museo de Frida Kahlo. I mean, you don't need to do that because you are where you are, and we all are in different places in our life, in our families, in our situation. So I think that is just such an important comment, Meredith. Thank you for making that, because that is real. And I think teachers, we are underpaid, overworked. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, totally. And it's just keeping it up with this. It just doesn't happen every day, all the years, every month, every class. It's like Annabelle said, we share the highlights and we want to like inspire, but at the end, we just need to keep it real. I think that's so important.
Absolutely.
To preserve ourselves our Senate.
We have it's interesting how this conversation has been flowing, because before I get to the next topic, people are already talking about it. We are gonna go ahead, to make the most out of everybody's time. I'm okay with like going over time a little bit. I don't know if you, Annabelle, or like Meredith or Claudia, if you have something else pending. But the last two things we had planned to discuss, and they're kind of like two in one. It's planning for an uncertain future, and I think it was over here, Luisa, who had said. I'm also feeling anxious because if states need to cut their budgets, electives might go down the drain. And I'm a teacher with seniority, and it costs more for me than a newer teacher. And that's a very valid concern. And I would tell you that today I actually had a message from one of my colleagues. She's an English teacher in the group chat. And she said that, she shared with us a screenshot of the board meeting and talking about furlough days and whatnot. And, all of this are things that, nobody wants to talk about nowadays. And we really don't know. And we're not proclaiming that that's what's going to happen. But how do we plan? I know a lot of teachers are thinking, well, we're going to go to next year. We're probably going to be online. And, what do I need to prepare for that? And I don't want teachers to not enjoy their summer. The best way they can kind of like take care of themselves during the summer. I know it's going to be tricky because I don't know about you guys, but my brain is always like, like as far as like what I want to do with the students and things of that nature. And I know that for me, I have to literally stop myself. And Annabelle's self-care challenges have been life-saving because I feel like I'm part of a community where, okay, my friends are doing this. So I have to, put a stop to it and like take care of myself, even if it's just one day. So planning for an uncertain future, and any tips you have to make the most out of our summer, because this concern that, for example, what Luisa was saying, also the concern that there actually talks about furloughing days and things of that nature. How are we dealing the best? I mean, have you heard those conversations? How are you dealing with that, and how are you planning for next year? And what can we do to take care of ourselves during the summer? Because we need to be renewed for whatever is to come.
I know for me, I'm such a Sagittarius and like a boundary person that, like you, Bertha, like I have to go. Nope. Like this, and either an alarm goes off, or for me, I'm really lucky that we have like this home office space because I have a room that I can close doors to and go, that's where work happens. I don't do work like in this other place. Like if I take the laptop up, I have to like stop on the stairs and come back downstairs because my instinct is take the laptop to the bed and just like keep working on stuff. But now you've allowed work to come into your bedroom, and you've allowed, like, now you're taking time away from other places. And so for me, I've given myself a hard deadline about 10 days after we get out. So next Friday, so like early June, I'm going to create a shell for next year. I already know what classes I'm going to be teaching, 2 different preps. And I'm going to go ahead and create a shell, upload everything I have, like not everything I have, but like in terms of kind of the bare necessities, and like, and kind of gauge, here's what wouldn't make me freak out if they eventually say, okay, we're starting online in August. Or our other scenario for me in Gwinnett County is we're starting in September and it's going to be like half online, half in person, who knows, blah, blah, blah. Like we have no idea what we're going to be. So I know that will freak me out if I have to do that in July, and that'll take away. But after like that date in June, I cannot worry about this anymore until we know. Like, unless we know by then, I'm giving myself a day to like stop, because we've been in front of the computer all day, every day for 2 months now.
Absolutely.
And it's too much.
I think that what Meredith said is really important for 2 reasons. One, we are teachers, we are concerned about the future. And so our instinct is to be as prepared as possible.
Yep.
And the more we prepare, the more ready we are to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have a separate room, I'm like Meredith. Like I keep my work in this room. It does not leave this room. It doesn't.
Yep.
Period. End of story. But If you don't have that, you can still have a table or a desk or a bench or whatever where that is where you work, and beyond that, you don't.
No.
Allow yourself to have a set time, like Meredith said, really designate when that is. Like, give yourself 2 weeks of your summer where you're going to work, or 1 week, or not at all. If you're a person not at all,
amen.
Yes, go. Yes, thank you. I wish. Tell me more about your
right. How do you do that?
That's totally awesome, and I love you for it. But designate the time, and then recognize that self-care. I did a whole workshop and put it on my Teachable, and I've had 5 people get it, because again, that's where teachers put self-care. They're like, no, I don't, I can't right now. I talked about how working is not self-care as much as you say, but I'm going to feel better because it's going to be done and I need to get this done. It's not taking care of yourself. It's not, that's why it's truly so important to 1 time a week, put it all away, or at a certain time of the day, all of it goes away. And then once you set that timeline, I talk about this too, have an accountability partner and a true person. It can't be somebody that loves you unconditionally. It can't be a partner. It can't be a mom. It can't be a sibling. It can't be a best friend. It has to be a friend who cares about you and your emotional and mental well-being enough to hold you accountable and say, you said you weren't going to work past this date. It's past this date. And when you have an accountability partner and you've stated what you're going to do, and they can say, you now have to do the bad thing that you said you were going to do if you didn't, because that's what I do now. Anytime I have a hard thing that I have to accomplish by a certain date, I tell my accountability partner, her name is Faith. A lot of you know her, Faith Lowe, or however you say her last name. And I text her and I say, hey, Faith, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it by this date. And if I don't, I have to donate X amount of money to the opposite political party.
Okay.
And it has to be it has to be something big to where I'm like, sorry about that. I gotta
do it.
Gotta do it right now. And I got this is the last thing.
I love it.
Because I know Faith is going to be
painful.
Like, hey, and she checks in with me 2 times before the actual date and says, hey, how you doing on that goal? Hey, how you doing? And then on the day, she says, FYI, I need confirmation that this is that you're done. So that's a really important thing. Really,
I think it's those blocks of time too. Like you said, like it's okay. Like nobody's like, but what if my priority for this summer is work? Like, well, don't do that. Because it's like, I think when you look at how we decide what's important, like Annabelle said, like with priorities, the word priorities has only been plural for like 100 years. For the 500 years before with the word priority, it was singular. It's literally always been singular. And since like the Industrial Revolution, we made it priorities. Suddenly we decided that you could be like, I care about this. And not only do I care about this, I care about this. And I do care about these 3 things, but like, I care about all these things and I care about them equally. That is not fair. No, you don't, so I think it's okay if you go, okay, throughout your summer, Mondays and Tuesdays, mom's going to work. And then at 11, we'll take you to the pool. And if I'm not done by 11, then I'll carry all the floaties to the pool and you guys get whatever junk snacks you want or whatever. Because even 1 day a week till 11, like I've got like summer classes I need to take. So I'll have other stuff. So for me, it's a date and I don't mind working all day through that date. But even if it's like 3 days a week, you get up before your kids and you whatever, and your coffee, quiet time, whatever makes it happen, that's your priority, the one for like that hour. And then it's like, I'm not going to feel bad the rest of the day. I got my caca done by 9 a.m. Kids are up and I'm not dealing with that anymore. And I think as women, that's really hard. You look, it's like 82% of teachers are women or something, it's like, we're all just like, but we have to do it all the time. And because we can do anything, we think we have to do everything.
Yes.
And then you're saying, I think self-care for us as teachers is so important because of the job that we have, like the emotional. I mean, it hasn't happened to you ladies, but when I go to my classroom, I receive all the energy of my students, right? So the one that is grumpy, the one that just broke out with a girlfriend, the one that broke out with a boyfriend, the one that had an argument with the dad, the one that just got a bad grade in the class before. So you get all that, and if we're not taking care of that, that is just bad news. Because if we don't take care of our just mind and self, then we're not ready to take care. That for some reason, when you're and they say, if the plane is falling or whatever, put the oxygen first so you can help somebody else. It's because we need that oxygen first. We really need to be prepared to help our teenagers, our middle schoolers, our elementary schoolers, and that takes a lot. So I feel that we need to do something. I'm the worst to talk. I'm saying it just really loud so I can remember. Because I'm going to have to do your course, Annabelle, because I'm just horrible at that.
Or I just hold you accountable and I text you and I say, hey, girl.
Because it is terrible for me, but I can tell when I get up, I do my run, I have a good breakfast, I have a good night's sleep, my life is so much better. Yes. When I finish at a certain time and I can enjoy time with my boys, with my husband, I feel so much better. But I need those, I really need them hard, those boundaries. And with respect for the next year, I think Meredith made a great comment about, let's just think about the 5 things that you cannot live without it. That would be your essential. Maybe focus on that, because the rest, who would imagine that we would be in this situation? And I remember 8 weeks ago, I was in Cartagena, Colombia, having the best time of my life in my spring break, having just incredible. And I remember by Thursday, my husband said, they are gonna have 1 more week for spring break. And I said, what do you mean? Yeah, COVID-19, like what happened? Yes, this thing is getting serious. And then I came by the next week, I thought that all my family was going to die. Wow. And then now we're in this situation that nobody knows. So our life is really like this. So I wouldn't spend much effort, time, mind, soul in planning everything. I think you just need to focus, like, what is my basic? And that would be it.
And then maybe also, I know that for me, I'm creating a list of the things that I want to learn over the summer. Now, that's not for everybody, but like keep it to 3, because I know over the summer we can keep getting all of these webinars, and it's amazing. It's great that it's there, but ultimately unplug and don't check your work email. I know that my friend Maribel, she has the best luck with checking her work email over the weekend. And normally she's like, oh, I should have known better. So don't check your work email, and maybe set some professional goals. Do it 3 during the summer if you want and if you're willing to do it. But otherwise, it's okay if you don't want to touch anything. It's okay if you don't want to worry about it until it's pre-planning time.
And it allows you also to keep in mind, like, if you do all of this work and preparation and it almost boxes you in more. Dang it, my brain break thing keeps popping up. It keeps on popping.
Now your expectations are going to be up here. And then if next year doesn't start the way you want, you're like,
it doesn't allow for you to be like, oh, all of a sudden, just kidding, you're not allowed to do any of that. This is what we're doing now.
Yeah,
and
then,
but I've spent weeks in preparation. And what do you mean that we're all doing streamline this and we're moving to this platform? Because it's very possible that we are going to be forced to do something very different, because the government or whatever, our schools, our individual administrators are realizing, kind of want to streamline that. So everybody's going to do this, and we're not going to find out about that until late July, early August. And then what?
I don't know your district. My district changed their minds really often.
Yes.
So, even if they come with a plan and then 2 weeks later, like, oh, no, that didn't work. So I feel like, like always, I think we go back to the same thing. Less is more, keep it simple, keep it doable, things that you can adjust, things that you can grow or shrink depending. But I totally agree. I think we don't know. I mean, really, it's like weather report, right? It's like an educated guess. It's just, we don't know.
I think too, like figuring out what, like I often find, you know, again with the comparative thing, and when we're looking online and amazing people share, and then I'm like, oh my God, I don't do any of these things. Like, and so I'm, you know, whatever, not enough and blah, blah, blah. I have to really keep myself in check because, like, if something is stressing you out that didn't exist 15 years ago, then it's not a real thing. Like, again, it's like that priority thing, like people, conversations, real, whatever. So if Bertha's like, well, I saw this idea from Meredith, you know, or something, and I'm like, oh, Bertha, why would you say that? But like, why am I letting something, like if she said it on, like on Twitter, why would I let that upset me? Twitter is like a created thing. Like Facebook is a created thing. Instagram is a created thing. Just like students' comments, whatever. If they leave it on an anonymous survey, you're like, oh, well, okay, that was mean, but moving on. And we're adults, so we can have wine and like move on. But like, if it's Bertha didn't come to my house and say it to my face, like she didn't insult me in my home when we were having a really like deep conversation. Like that's the reason phones have a mute function and you can turn stuff off and walk away and shut down email. And so I think I have to keep myself in check. What kind of distractions am I allowing in my life? And my home is where my peace is. When I am at home, I will be at peace and I will be doing what I want. I will be cooking food. I will be eating all of that food. I will be hanging out. I'm going to have a glass of wine. And I don't think we owe an explanation to anybody, right? How we spend our time. Like if Annabelle posts, you know, a picture, like she's going to save a couple pictures. So she's like, okay, I'll post one I get tomorrow, or, you know, like the challenge or whatever. I'm going to post this tomorrow. I'm going to post this tomorrow. And like, she's thinking whatever. I could go in and be like, oh my God. Like it would be easy to see like several pictures. Oh my God, she works so much and I don't work enough. And it's like, chill out. That's none of your business to even worry about. Like let other people like worry about themselves and you worry about you. Because I know for me, I start being like, oh God, am I doing enough? I'm not doing enough. But it's because I finally, 14 years in, have gotten good at like boundaries to where I'm like, I'm not going to let that bother me. You can say whatever you're going to say on like Twitter or whatever, you know, and it's like, it stings, you know, because we're people, we're not heartless monsters. But it's like, that is not a person who I have even met. Why am I worried about that? Like, why am I comparing myself to a stranger? Why am I like, why, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, take one idea in. Okay, have a nice day. I'm going to add it to my maybe to-do list, but I'm not going to worry about it. And I think that's like that mental piece that we need to have when we do have breaks over the summer. Because it's like, you know, that calendar time where our weird job gives us like, walk away. I'm lucky that my district supervisor says, don't check your school email. We'll call you. And that's what made me think of it was Annabelle said like, don't check email. Or Bertha said, don't check email. Like John Valentine truly says, don't check email. If something's urgent, we'll call you or we'll come to your house. Like, and guess what? Nothing will be that urgent. Like you don't need to read anything in June and July. He's like, don't check your email until post planning. I deleted off my phone for the whole summer and I move on. And it's everything in me to not like open up another tab and be like, but what if there's something waiting? It'll wait then. Just like when you missed a phone call 20 years ago, your phone just rang empty in the house.
Yeah, imagine that.
And they called back when they thought you might be home. You know what I mean? Like we're so worried about like missing stuff that it's like, but so what true. If, like, no, that is not a real thing. This is a created thing. So much of this are created stressors. So I have to like remember that because I'm like, this is old fashioned. Like teachers who have been teaching a long, long time don't necessarily have these feelings. Like teachers with like 30 and 40 years are like, later, summertime. You know?
I know, right? Yeah.
And those of us who are like 10, 15, 20 years are like, but it's still a little, and they're like, yeah, have fun with that. And I respect that because I really respect that ability to unplug. I think that's hard.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Before we leave, I just, Meredith, there's a question for you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind answering it. It's from Iram, who says, could you share with us what are your 5 essentials that you can't live without by starting?
Ooh. Like in teaching? Oh, Iram, let me think.
When you were talking about, you know, you're just going to make sure you have your essentials ready for next semester.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have at the very least, and I've already kind of been playing with our learning management system. We have like Blackboard, eClass, whatever. It's the old Blackboard, but like in a cuter outfit. And I'm going to have like each unit name. So we've got 6 units per level, levels 1 and 2. Each unit name, like sort of key anticipated vocabulary, assessment tasks, like what they'll be, probably just like a doc, or I'll just type them. And then like what the assignments are going to be. Our department uses a 3-2-1 structure. So like 3 classwork, 2 quiz, 1 test. Those are the 6 summatives for each unit. So for each report card, they get 18 grades. So I go ahead and lay out at the beginning of the unit, here's what your classworks are going to be, here's what your quizzes are going to be, and then here's what your test is going to be, and the dates. Granted, online will be weird, but for me, the whole unit will last still X amount of time. So it's going to be like anticipated vocabulary, obviously with room to add more. It's just, whatever, a naughty word list. And then what the assessments will be, sort of calendar kind of layout, but also other resources like link it to Quizlet, link it to some GimKit practice sets, which Senior Wooly we're going to do. Here's like where you can find everything to read and look at. So kind of like a generic, not generic, but outline. And Idam, if you want, you can message me or email me. I'll send you a link to my calendar because I have to transfer it from my calendar. So you can see they're already there. I just need to put them somewhere else, copy them over.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. I cannot thank you enough for being here and coming to spend time with our group, with the group Transformation Through Acquisition-Driven Instruction. Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Claudia. So I had an awesome time listening to you guys, and I know that our conversation was even feeding me right now and totally resonating. So thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and say bye, and until